Most men walk through life with a distorted sense of where they stand. If women aren't openly complimenting you, chasing you, or making their interest obvious, it's easy to assume you're average at best, or even below it. You see other men getting attention and conclude that attraction must look loud and unmistakable. But that assumption is built on a misunderstanding of how attraction actually works. In reality, many of the men women find most attractive are the ones who underestimate themselves the most. Not because they lack appeal, but because they're measuring themselves using the wrong signals. Movies and social media have trained men to expect attraction to look dramatic, direct, and unmistakable. Flirting is portrayed as bold advances, clear compliments, and undeniable signals of interest. But real-world attraction, especially from women, rarely works that way. Female attraction tends to operate through subtle shifts in behavior, positioning, and attention, rather than explicit declarations. When men expect obvious signals and don't receive them, they often assume there is no attraction at all, when in reality, the signals are simply quieter and easier to miss. Ironically, the men who are genuinely attractive often hold themselves to higher standards. They compare themselves not to the average man, but to idealized versions of masculinity, which leads them to undervalue their own appeal. Meanwhile, men with lower standards of comparison may overestimate themselves. This creates a psychological gap where the men with the most potential are the least aware of it. Add to this the fact that attraction feedback is indirect, and many men end up operating with an inaccurate self-image that doesn't match how others actually perceive them. When a woman notices you, her brain processes far more than just your face. Within seconds, she registers posture, grooming, movement, confidence, and how you occupy space. She picks up on energy, composure, and whether you seem socially grounded. Much of this happens below conscious awareness, which means she may feel drawn to you without being able to explain why. Because these assessments are automatic and unspoken, men often miss the fact that attraction has already formed long before any conversation begins. When a woman is attracted to a man, she often experiences a quiet internal tension. She wants to move closer, but she also wants to avoid appearing too eager or vulnerable. This creates a pattern where interest is expressed indirectly through attention, proximity, and repeated awareness rather than direct pursuit. To a man who expects clarity, this can look like indifference. But in reality, it's often a sign of controlled interest, shaped by social conditioning and self-protection. Understanding this dynamic is essential, because without it, many men overlook attraction that is already present. One of the biggest reasons men underestimate their attractiveness is because they expect validation to be explicit. Movies and social media have trained men to believe attraction shows up as direct compliments or bold advances, but in real life, that's rarely how it works. When a man is noticeably attractive, women often avoid making it obvious because they don't want to appear eager, exposed, or rejected. Instead of saying you're handsome, they assume you already know, or they express interest in quieter ways. And this creates a paradox where the more attractive you are, the less direct feedback you receive, leading you to believe you're less appealing than you actually are. Men and women communicate attraction very differently. Men tend to be direct, verbal, and outcome-focused, while women communicate interest through behavior, timing, and positioning. And this mismatch causes many men to miss signals entirely. Women often signal attraction indirectly to preserve social safety and emotional control, especially around men they genuinely find appealing. And as a result, men who rely only on obvious signals assume nothing is happening, when in reality, interest is being expressed in subtler, more strategic ways that require awareness rather than confirmation. One of the most reliable signs of attraction is eye contact, but not the exaggerated kind most men expect. When a woman finds you attractive, she'll often hold eye contact slightly longer than necessary, then look away as if nothing happened. What matters isn't the single moment, but the repetition. If her attention keeps returning to you throughout an interaction or environment, that's a strong indicator of interest. Many men dismiss these moments because they're brief, but attraction often reveals itself through patterns, not dramatic gestures. Another overlooked sign of attraction is physical positioning. Women who are drawn to you will often place themselves near you without making it obvious why. They may join conversations you're part of, stand within your general area, or find reasons to pass by multiple times. These movements aren't accidental. They're a way of staying close while maintaining plausible deniability. Men who aren't aware of this tend to assume coincidence, when in reality, proximity is often a deliberate signal of interest. Attractiveness doesn't only affect romantic attention, it changes how people respond to you socially. When you're more attractive than you realize, groups tend to quiet slightly when you speak, orient their bodies toward you, or give your words more weight. People may seek your opinion, follow your lead in conversation, or adjust plans based on your preferences. This happens because attractiveness activates what psychologists call the halo effect, where physical appeal influences perceived competence and leadership. Many men experience this daily without recognizing it as a sign of elevated social value. One overlooked sign of attractiveness is memorability. If people remember you without effort on your part, bring you up in conversations when you're not present, or reference things you said days or weeks later, it's not accidental. Attraction increases cognitive imprint, meaning interactions with you register more deeply than average. Women who find you attractive often say things like they were thinking about a conversation you had, or that something about you stuck with them, even if they can't explain why. This happens because attraction heightens emotional encoding in the brain, making your presence feel distinct rather than interchangeable. Another subtle indicator is how attention behaves around you. When you move through a room and eyes track you briefly, when conversations pause as you join or leave, or when people seem more alert in your presence, that's social gravity at work. Attractive men often underestimate this because it feels normal to them. But automatic visual attention isn't random. It's a response to perceived value. People subconsciously monitor individuals they find appealing influential, or socially significant, even when no interaction is happening. Your attractiveness isn't only reflected in women's behavior, but also in how other men respond to you. Some men become noticeably competitive, more animated, or try to dominate conversations when you're around. Others show respect, include you, or align themselves with you rather than challenge you. Less confident men may subtly imitate your style, posture, or mannerisms. These reactions happen because men are highly attuned to hierarchy, and your presence triggers assessments about where you sit within it. Competition and imitation are both signs that you're perceived as someone who stands out. When people assume you must have options, romantic opportunities, or an active dating life without you saying anything, that assumption is revealing. They project success onto you because attractiveness, confidence, and composure are automatically associated with desirability. Women may show mild jealousy or territorial behavior even without a relationship context, while others ask probing questions about whether you're single or who you're seeing. These assumptions reflect how others perceive your value, not what they know about your actual situation. One reason many attractive men underestimate themselves is baseline adjustment. When positive attention, respect, and interest are consistent, they stop feeling special and start feeling normal. On top of that, attractive men often compare themselves upward, judging themselves against idealized figures rather than the average population. Combined with humility and self-awareness, this creates a blind spot where real signals are dismissed as coincidence. The result is a man who has far more social and romantic leverage than he realizes, simply because he's been measuring himself by the wrong standards. A common way men misjudge their attractiveness is through how they interpret silence. Men often expect attraction to produce visible effort, messages, compliments, pursuit, or escalation. And when those signals don't appear, they read the absence of action as the absence of interest. But attraction doesn't always move outward. Very often, it moves inward. Women frequently respond to attraction by becoming more controlled, more observant, and more restrained. Silence, distance, or neutrality can be signs of regulation rather than rejection, especially when attraction feels uncertain or emotionally risky. And in those moments, restraint becomes a form of self-protection. Men who don't understand this dynamic conclude that nothing is happening, when in reality, something is happening quietly. The issue isn't a lack of attractiveness, but mistaking stillness for disinterest. Another reason many men undervalue their attractiveness is because attraction doesn't always arrive with tension or intensity. Sometimes it arrives as ease. When a woman feels safe, relaxed, and emotionally regulated around you, her behavior may appear calm rather than flirtatious. Conversations flow naturally. There's comfort and familiarity, and nothing feels forced. To many men, this reads as neutrality or even friend zone energy. But psychological comfort isn't the absence of attraction. It's often the foundation of it. When someone feels at ease around you quickly, it's usually because your presence feels grounding rather than stimulating. This kind of attraction doesn't announce itself through excitement or nerves. It settles quietly, and that subtlety is exactly why so many men fail to recognize it. Modern culture tends to glorify unpredictability as exciting and magnetic, which leads many men to undervalue steadiness, composure, and consistency. When you're calm, reliable, and emotionally grounded, you don't always trigger dramatic reactions, and from the inside, that can feel like being unremarkable. But predictability, when paired with confidence, is deeply attractive because it creates psychological safety. Safety doesn't spike adrenaline, it builds trust. And the problem is that this kind of attraction doesn't feel impressive to the man embodying it. It feels normal. Men who offer stability often assume it's boring, when in reality, it's rare. Their appeal lies in the absence of volatility, but because chaos gets more attention than calm, they overlook their strongest trait and mistakenly conclude they're less attractive than they actually are. And once you begin recognizing these patterns, something important happens. Your confidence becomes calibrated to reality. This isn't arrogance, it's alignment. When your self-perception matches how others already see you, your behavior naturally adjusts. You become more relaxed, more grounded, and more decisive. This confidence feeds back into attractiveness, creating a reinforcing loop. You stop settling for situations that don't match your value and start making choices from a position of clarity rather than doubt. Awareness alone changes outcomes. The final thing most men miss is that attractiveness doesn't always announce itself in outcomes. It shows up in leverage. When people lean in without chasing, when interest lingers without escalation, when respect arrives without explanation, that's not absence of attraction, it's surplus. Men who are genuinely attractive often live inside this surplus without realizing it, because nothing feels urgent or dramatic. Opportunities don't force themselves. Doors don't slam shut. Reactions are subtle, not explosive. And because modern culture teaches men to look for intensity instead of alignment, they overlook the advantage they already have. The shift happens when you stop asking, "Why isn't this louder?" and start asking, "Why does this feel effortless?" That question alone recalibrates how you move, what you tolerate, and who you give access to. Not because you're trying harder, but because you finally understand the position you've been in all along.